Hi everyone, I'm Shawna and welcome into the Contentment update. This is the second one of the year. I don't know if I'm going to label this March or February, we'll see. But this is the reflection on how February went. This month is kind of like, it took a turn that I did not expect. You'll have to see when we get into it. So if you're new to the Contentment update, this is my way of finding contentment in my life. I reflect on the things that I've bought, as well as the things that I've done in my life that I hope will bring me contentment. I'm also on a no buy, so this is built into the project as well. There is a lot to go over, so I just want to get started. We're going to go through the same questions as last month, and you'll see a lot of me looking around here. I did actually use the same outline as last month, so it should hopefully look the same. And the goal here is just really to reflect on my spending and like my shopping habits, as well as how my no buy is going, and if I'm achieving contentment, and my thoughts around that. So let's get in to the purchase and stuff in tracker. So I'm gonna give you the total of the stuff in for February, and I think it's gonna be very surprising. The total number of stuff in is 36, but the number of things I bought myself is 10. Let's get into it. By the way, for this month, there's just gonna be a lot of pictures on the screen, just like the nature of some of these products. And then there's also some I don't think you need to see. I bought a charging cable. I don't really think it matters what that looks like. At least it's not that interesting to me. So let's get into it. The first thing that I got in February 1st is this. This is letter writing paper. I'm going to put this down as quickly as possible so it's not crinkling around. And this I actually bought in very early December. It just took a long time to get here, and it was $21.48. I technically brought it in this month, but I didn't pay for it this month. Either way, still something in. The next thing that came in, which actually technically came in January, but I didn't mention it in January just for privacy reasons, and that were Ana Luisa jewelry pieces. I did a sponsored video with them in early February. I didn't pay for that. That was like part of PR, but still two things in. This is not an ad for Ana Luisa, by the way. They're not paying me to say this. They don't know that I'm mentioning them. Like, I love their jewelry so much. So those two things in. And then we get to a stretch of products that were gifts. My partner's family, we didn't exchange gifts at the holiday time, just for a lot of reasons, and we ended up doing it in February. And the gift situation was, well, it was way more than I expected, and also like way more than has happened in the past. So let me talk about the gifts. I did get a lip set. It's the Sephora Favorites lip set. I might just put a picture on the screen of the box, because I think if you'll know it when you see it. It came with 5 products, but I've only decided to keep 4. I do have a home for the last one. I got the Summer Friday, like the lip balm. And then it also came with this YSL lipstick. It's a mini. It's a really nice kind of pinky color. A full-size Huda lip liner. And then Clinique Black Honey. So that was in that gift set. I also got some pajamas. They wanted to do a family photo with the pajamas. I also got this, the Cinnamon Swirl palette. I'm actually very pleasantly surprised by this. I'm quite a fan of the color store. I think it's really, really pretty. I have swatched it, but I haven't used it yet. And from what I can tell, the swatches are really pleasant. And one of the things, I guess I'll talk about this one very briefly, is that when I look at a color story like this, I can get hung up on colors like these two, or maybe even this one. But when I look at the colors individually, I like just about all of them except for this one, and this one. Even this guy here that I mentioned, I can still see myself using this, especially like on the outer corner. I will use a metallic color in the crease where we might traditionally use mattes. And so when I look at each color individually, I'm like, I like I like all of them except for those three. And they all swatch really nice. And I've talked my fair shit about Too Faced around here, which is mostly to do with like the brand owner and sometimes some of the concepts. But I think this is fabulous. And like, I'm very excited to have this. And that's also like the same with everything on here. I just like, I don't want to, slow things down by being like, wow, I love this and I love this and I love this. So we have to continue. The next thing I got was actually this mug set. I have my coffee in it today. It came with two, like that are the exact same. I also got a coffee maker. You'll see a photo of that too. That has been wildly favorite of mine. Like I love that way more than I thought that I did. I also got a sock set. One set is in the wash already. The other one that I'm wearing. They're so comfortable, but if I can wash them before this video goes up and take a picture, I will. If not, you're gonna have to believe me that they're a very nice, comfortable sock set. I also got a glove set, which I have right here. They're very nice. The last gift, which is the thing that is bloating the numbers a lot, is a tea set. And I believe I have a photo of the set as it is. And it came with 12 boxes of tea. And there's 8 tea bags in each. I have to count those as 12. There's no way I can count them as one. And I'm very pleased with that tea set. Like I've already used it and I think the flavors are great, but it's still 12 items. So those are all of the gift stuff to talk about. Next, on to like the rest of the stuff that I purchased. I had to buy some more packing tape. It's $3. I do like the Canada Post one. I mean, it doesn't have to be Canada Post, but I was living very close to one, and when I needed it, it was the best way to get it. There's probably cheaper out there, but it's like straight up, it's like $2.50. I think it was like almost $3 with tax, so I just rounded it up to $3. I also got a shower shelf. I destroyed my other one getting it down, and also I guess I didn't think about it when I bought it, but that one was not reusable. Like once you unstick it from the wall, you can't stick it back up again, so I had to replace it. So the shower shelf was $27.19. Honestly, so expensive. I could not find a cheaper one out there. It was literally the cheapest one that I could get without actually going to IKEA, which is far. So it is what it is. I also got a bunch of household things. I got a toilet bowl cleaner, which you don't need to see. And I also got a bath mat. So the toilet bowl cleaner was $14.99. The bath mat was $19.99. The bath mat, honestly, is so great. It's so absorbent and it's like this cute pink color. I actually love the crap out of it. The other bath mat that I got was $8 from Walmart a few years ago, and it was always too small for the space. Like it was just always comically small. I accidentally left it at the other place and I couldn't go back and get it. So I just got a new one and it's way better. And I was thinking of replacing it anyway, so it is what it is. I also got salt and pepper shakers. I finally did it and I think they're very cute. They don't magnetize together, which is fine. And I just love them and I've been using them all the time. And then the last two things were body wash. Got a big one. This was $7.99. I bought it at kind of like one of the more expensive places to buy things from. Like I would usually get this kind of thing from Walmart, but I needed it like now, and this was the closest place to get it from. So $7.99. And then the last thing was a laptop power cord, which was $27. So quite a bit of things. And when I go to like the total numbers, the number of things that I bought were 10 things. One of those things was from December. Sorry, it was 9 things and one of them was from December. I got 2 items in PR, 13 gifts plus the tea set. So all in all, kind of a lot of things. And the total cost for the things that I bought were $184.36, which is way, way more reasonable than last month. Last month it was in the 400 range, which was just like way too expensive for my taste. So far in the year, the number of things that I've received in any kind of capacity is 53, and the total cost of things in is $616, which for me feels like a lot, but that largely has to do with how last month went, and then also a really large percentage of that coming from December. So to talk about like the stuff budget goal, I set a goal of 200 items in, or at least that was the revised goal. I didn't want to have 365. It felt kind of a lot. If we stick to the 200 with 16.6 items a month average to get into that goal, February's numbers alone was 18.8% or 26.5% so far for the whole year, which is like I should be at half that. Roughly 12-13%. I did that in February alone. The biggest portion of that was stuff that I got as gifts, and had it just been like the PR stuff and my own purchases, I would have been at around 12-ish items. So I would have been under the 16 and I would have been fine. I think it would have balanced out from last month, but it is what it is. And I was thinking, well, maybe I'll keep the goal of the 200 for just my purchases. For now, I don't want to do that simply because everything that comes in, whether you buy it or it's free, still comes in and still is things you have to inventory, things you have to find a place for, things that like can add clutter, and I want to be responsible across the board. And in some ways, like I can't control gifts. Gifts are so infrequent in my life. They basically only happen in December. I generally also don't really get gifts on my birthday. It almost never happens, or at least now. My parents used to give me gifts, but since moving out. Goals are goals for a reason, right? Like we set them as something to try to achieve. So I really do want to set that as a number to achieve. And while I do think that March is going to be very likely a high number of stuff in as well, just kind of given the circumstance of life and having to get things for this home, no matter how responsible I am, it just happens. Like I didn't expect my power cord to break or, to lose my bath mat or to, need a new this or that. These things happen. And so what I'm trying to say is that I think March's numbers are going to be high as well, but I'm not expecting things to stay that high for the rest of the year. If for whatever reason I feel comfortable with my purchases, they're in budget and they're things that I need and I feel like confident in them, and it happens to be over 200, like it is what it is. But I really do want to stick to 200 as the goal, and having it as a goal has made I've waited longer than anticipated for some basic things or for purchases in general, because I want to be really sure and I want to be really considered and meet my goal. And I think that's fabulous. I think that's a really great thing. And I'm loving what it's doing for my budgeting life and for my stuff in life, just my overall consumption. So I'm going to stick to it if I can. So I guess what I want to update you on for January stuff is that I did return the book. Like it has been hold on, I got a backspace here or backtrack. I bought a book in January and I was talking about returning it last month. I don't think at the time of filming I had returned it, or I said that I was about to return it, but it has actually been brought to be returned. So it's out of my house. And at the time of filming, it was still counted as a stuff in. Also, I returned the humidifier. It did not work as I expected, so that has been returned. That brings down the total of things to 51 instead of 53. And then the overall like stuff budget is down 1% from 26.5 to 25.5%. So let me finish off with the stuff out. For the empties, I also decided not to showcase the stuff. I'm just gonna go through it really quickly so we can get through it, especially because I am going to be, you know, producing an empties video every quarter. So you'll see the stuff and I don't really want it to be redundant. So for this month, or for February, I finished 4 things. Perfume mini at $0, the NARS concealer mini at $18, my L'Oreal purple conditioner at $6.50, and then my All Good sunscreen, that was $18.99. So that was $43.49 worth of stuff. And so far the empties this year are $82.87. For stuff out, I'm pretty sure I took pictures of these things. If I'm fairly certain. So I finished 2 David's Tea Candy Cane Crush, which was $7.28, and then the cardamom, I don't remember, it was cardamom something, that was $8.98. The Candy Cane Crush has to be my favorite David's Tea ever. I think it's so good and I would absolutely buy it again. I also finished the ginger tea I bought last month. A lot of you were saying don't count it. I kind of agree with you because it was much more like a utilitarian purchase opposed to something that stayed in. So I might just delete it. If I do, it'll be next month. But since I mentioned it before, I'm mentioning it leaving as well. And then I also, my laptop power cord was about $25. That went out. It broke. Like it wouldn't charge my laptop. That went out. I'm estimating a value of about $25. And then my shower shelf, like it physically broke. That was about $20. I went back into my purchase history for all of these except for the laptop power cord. That one I had to estimate. So the stuff out number this month is 5 with an approximate value of $64.76. The overall stuff out, not the empties, is 9 things so far this year with a value of $106.76. So the number of stuff out this month overall was 9, and the number of stuff out overall this year is 18. So those are all of the stats for you. Oh, also before I leave, the lifespan of my products, of the stuff out to date, I'm not going to do it for the empties, which I might for that video. The average stuff out is 10.4 months. If I take out the ginger tea, it's 11.6. So that alone affects it, just in case you're wondering. So we're at 10.4 for January, in case you like these numbers. January was 10.75, February was 10.2, current 10.4. So let's talk about how I feel about things. I want to talk about regret purchases first. I really like that question, talking about it last month, and I like reflecting on my purchase. And also months move on and I have more space from products or things that I purchased. Maybe things will change. So I was also thinking about not just things from February, but also purchases from January. And for January, there are no regrets there, other than like what I've already talked about. For February, I do regret the stationery purchase. And that wasn't even something that I purchased in February. And that's because, so the reason why I bought it is because I joined a pen pal program and I didn't really have the proper things to participate in it. Like I didn't even have lined paper. I had to ask my partner for some. And I was actually kind of self-conscious about the letter that I sent. I didn't even have a letter envelope. I had a small cart envelope and the whole thing just did not look very good. So after I mailed the letter, I immediately went and bought stationery paper. Maybe not immediately, but within like a week. I sat on it for a week and I'm like, yeah, you know, hopefully, I'm in the pen pal program. So like I'll have somebody or 2 people hopefully to write letters to. And I was so excited about it. And I bought the letter writing paper. It wasn't very expensive. So the monetary value of it is not the issue here. It's that what I really needed was a letter envelope. And if I need to write letters now, I still need to buy them. So it wasn't the most important thing that I should have purchased or needed to purchase. It also turns out, which is just sad, is that the person that I wrote to did not respond to me, and the person who was supposed to write to me never wrote to me, which kind of just, I don't know, makes me a little bit sad. I've always wanted a pen pal, and I've always wanted to be the person who writes letters. I guess what this ultimately showed me is that this was a fantasy self purchase that I just didn't catch it as it happened. So I do regret that purchase. Now, to do a larger reflection of how I'm thinking about the numbers in total, gifts played a surprising role this month. I personally have never received so many gifts before, ever, even in the past, from my partner's family. And I'm kind of thinking maybe because more time was passed, they're the kind of people who, if they see something that reminds them of you or they think you'll like, they'll buy it for you. So I think that kind of played into it, but I also don't want to speculate, and I'm very appreciative of all of the gifts that I received, honestly, all of them. I've loved everything. I've used everything. I've appreciated everything. And so what I noticed is that the gifts that I received are very much, are things that I would qualify as niceties, as maybe luxuries or things that are nice to have. Indulgences, I think, are the right word. And I'm not really in the position right now to be buying indulgences. That'll probably continue for the next few months. So it's honestly kind of exciting to have a couple of new mugs, and also to think about, my partner's sister every time that I use them, and the coffee maker, the eyeshadows. And it's just it's very nice to think about them when I use them, and to have these indulgences that I wouldn't buy for myself, especially the tea. And I'm going to talk about the tea in just a little bit. That really sparked a thought for me. The coffee maker, I very much appreciated the gift, but this was not something I actually had ever considered buying for myself before, simply because I'm one person, and while I found the French press somewhat annoying, it's good for one person, you don't need electricity to run it, it's small, doesn't take up much space, and I also thought that a coffee maker was maybe for a house full of people, at least two, and I'm one person, can I use this? And turns out I freaking love it. I went nuts over this thing the first time I used it. And first, I can set it up to go off in the morning without me having to get up. It has the automatic timer, game freaking changer. It also keeps the coffee hot for 2 hours. I tend to drink my coffee really slowly over a couple of hours. I've always kind of been that way. It's just nice to be able to refill my coffee and have it hot, which was the biggest problem with the French press, is that the coffee got cold really quickly, and I'd have to reheat my coffee. So there's much less of that going on. And if I also just want to reheat the pot, I can just flip it on and everything will reheat together and stay on for 2 hours. That was something that I would qualify as an indulgence, but I'm so happy that I have it. Now, just transitioning to what I bought, I am very pleased with what I bought. Everything that I purchased was just very practical. Genuinely, replacements, the toilet brush, the bath mat, that kind of vibe is that's the kind of vibe of my purchases for February, and I really think going into March. I'm kind of hoping once all of this new house stuff is over to get that under $100. I would love it to be under $100. I think that's my goal. When I think about what I actually need in life, there's not really a lot beyond getting replacements and replacing these practical things, because there's still more to go. It kind of feels like anything else besides that is just a luxury or a want in some kind of way. And I think it's okay to indulge your wants and your desires unless I'm buying a replacement, spending $200 on just wants just feels like fluffy. Like I'm struggling a little bit to find the words here, but it just kind of feels like I'm wasting my money. Yes, there's something to be said with buying, like, let's say, nice pieces for your wardrobe or nice something for your home. But I just think so many of us are so used to just always buying something. It's somewhat abnormal to not buy stuff. Something I want to do, like, I don't want to be spending $200 on indulgences every month, you know? And that really kind of hit home to me, where I was like, initially I'm like, oh yeah, 168 is really great compared to the last month. And in some ways it is, because most of these things are replacements. But when I'm thinking about the future and where I want my money to go, I don't want my money to go to buying things that are nice to have or things that are really just based on desires. I really want my money to go to, in essence, replacements. And maybe unless I am buying something for my wardrobe, which we've already talked about before, I want things to be predominantly practical, predominantly the replacements, and maybe like one nicety a month. I'm, I guess, in some ways not used to not spending. Like, even on the no buy that I did in 2020, I was still buying things here and there and making excuses to not buy stuff. I don't think I've ever actually truly gone without buying stuff and like indulging curiosities and the niceties. And maybe that's something that I can work into the question next month. Like, what is my indulgence? Maybe it's not going to be for March, because maybe I don't get any indulgences for March because I'm getting to, I'm trying to replace some things. Because I'm on a no buy, I think this is really helping. It's really it's reinforcing that idea. And when I'm talking about indulgence, I'm not talking about buying that lipstick I wanted. What I mean is, I have a piece of art that I have my eye on. It's actually like a paint by number that I want to do. It's not very expensive. It's about $30. I don't need it. Like, my home is fine without it. I can live without it. I can breathe without it. I can function without it. I don't need it. It's very much, in my opinion, an indulgence. I think art for the home, while it's nice and can enhance our viewing experience and our pleasure with our home, if push came to shove and you were in like a tight financial spot, would you be buying art? No, you wouldn't. And so when I'm thinking about indulgences, this is kind of the mindset that I'm thinking of. I need to maybe think a little bit more about this, but I want this question to be embedded into next month about thinking about the wants and the needs. There are some things like the salt and pepper shaker. When push comes to shove, is it a need? Is it a need? Is it a replacement? No, I can function without it, but it adds a comfortability to life, like without having to stick my hand in the salt bag every time I want to use salt. Like, get what I'm saying here? I do think, as I was mentioning, I think March is going to be somewhat expensive. My printer broke, which needs to be replaced. This place doesn't have a microwave, so I'm in the moment of looking for a microwave. I know I talked about wanting to get some chairs. That is still something that I'm looking for. I've been looking for a month and I have not been able to find 2 chairs that I like, but that's also not on the most important list. I also would like a table to film. I'm literally filming on a TV tray. Like, it barely fits my laptop. It's really tight, and I feel like one little jostle and like everything is going to fall over. So I would like that. I would like a proper filming table of some kind. And I guess it's part of the problem is I don't really know what I'm looking for. And those 3 things alone are just kind of expensive. I also need a mat for my entryway. Yeah, I need that. There's some other things that are on the list of direct replacements, things that are glaring needs. So those are on the list for next month. So I'm kind of thinking, a shoe rack as well. The number that has kind of brought me the most thought that I didn't expect is the number of stuff out. This is, if I could recommend something to any of you in this video, is to track the number of things that leave your home. This is the number that is the most surprising to me, because if you were to ask me before this project, I probably would have been like, I get rid of 2 to 3 things at most a month. Not that's what I guess my answer would be. That's what I know my answer was. I felt like I was the kind of person who really wasn't getting rid of much stuff. Like I was responsible and I was using my stuff and I wasn't really getting rid of much. And while 9 things might not seem like a lot, if we just average that out as 10 for an even number, 10 items a month over a full year is 120 items, which in my opinion is a lot. It's just over half, like what, 60% of my total stuff in budget that I got rid of in a year. And it adds up over time, and it's also way more than I thought. And so this has just been really eye-opening to me as to how much stuff leaves my home, but also how much I never notice the things that leave my home and the quantity of things that leave my home. One of the things that this project has helped me realize is how kind of careless or I guess rough on some of my things that I am. So the power cord got to a point where I connected it to my computer and nothing happened. And my guess is that the reason why I believe this happened is that a piece of the cord like got exposed, like from like its internal parts, and it looked like it kind of the wire kind of. So the power cord broke, but also last summer, my charging cable for my phone also broke. I'm very rough on my things, and also remember the bra last month broke. This kind of carelessness I don't take enough care with my things. It's a lot of the everyday stuff that this happens to, and I don't think I would have learned that had I not done this project. And I'm not really sure exactly what the answer is, or even like how far this goes. But I really am like, I need to figure out a solution for this. And I think with the cables, it's going to have to be, I have to test something out, because one of the reasons why both of the charging cables broke is that they were plugged in to something on my dresser, on my nightstand. And so it was plugged in, and then the plug was like bent over like this, which over time broke the item. And I can see the exact same thing happening to my current charging cable. So I'm gonna have to, although it's plugged in a different way, I'm gonna have to find a different solution for this. So maybe like the whole cord goes in when it's charging, or maybe it goes all on the floor. I don't know. But it's just costing me extra money in the long run to replace stuff because I wasn't careful with it. The stuff app is really helping me notice trends in my life that I don't think I would have observed otherwise. And I think the second trend that I want to talk about, or the second thing I noticed, is the David's tea. It's honestly expensive for what it is, and each 50-gram bag of tea, I get around 4 to 5 cups of tea out of. So some of the green teas and black teas, I have one, Glitter and Gold, that's fairly strong. Buddha's Blend as well, use significantly less, and then my Earl Grey that I got from them also use significantly less than normal, because in my opinion, they're fairly strong. But just about every other tea that I've tried, I get about 4 to 5 cups of tea per bag. And usually I'll buy them between $7 and $9. For $7 to $9 for 4 to 5 cups of tea is very expensive compared to, let's say, 7 to 10 cups of tea from a supermarket tea brand that is like $3 to $5. What I've come to realize is that everyday teas, things like peppermint, or peppermint mint green teas, chamomile, that kind of stuff, that needs to be bought at the supermarket, and only the most specialty kind of tea should be bought at David's Tea. And it needs to be treated with much more consideration. Like, it is a true indulgence, and I didn't really see how much of an indulgence it was because of how quickly I'll go through them. And even like I did get a pack of tea, like I was saying, the 12 different teas, and a lot of the flavors I've gotten from David's Tea are in there. And so maybe that's like the next move too, if I'm looking for a variety of teas for like in somewhat indulging. That will be more affordable, or shopping at David's Tea like once or twice a year to get a few of my tippy top favorites and kind of leave it at that. It's not the kind of thing that I can be buying regularly. It just can't. And for a while there I was like in fall, winter, like between September and December, those about 4-month period, I was buying quite a bit of tea from there. And it's just, it's too high of a price to continue that behavior, which I'm very glad I was tracking how long I've had these things and how much I was using, because I'm sure I would have realized it, but the point really, hit home with this kind of tracking. And I want to talk about the Contentment projects. I did complete the minimalist makeup challenge. The video went up on that. I guess one of the things to talk about is there something that has happened since then. Have my feelings changed about it since then? And ultimately, like for the minimalist makeup challenge, that was such a great exercise, and I loved doing it, and I'm really happy with the observations that I made. What has changed since then is not very much, but what I've noticed is that, so like I moved in here, things have kind of been settled for a little while, and I have not started wearing makeup regularly, and I kind of had some plans to do that, but I have really been enjoying my makeup-free life, which is something I didn't expect to happen as a result of, I'm not entirely sure why the minimalist makeup challenge kind of influenced me in that way. I've always considered myself somebody who has enjoyed wearing makeup and, has treated it like a hobby. I've said those things, which is still true. I still do enjoy putting on makeup, but I've also come to really enjoy not wearing makeup basically just as much, which is a result of the project and very surprising to me. So I did a little bit of an admin day. In my opinion, the wardrobe maintenance stuff is gonna happen on the admin day. A full one still needs to come. It didn't happen in February for moving, basically. But I did wash my winter jacket and my makeup brushes. It was like a little mini day, and I kind of loved it. And I actually want to wash my jacket again because it's just not, it didn't clean it as well as I thought it would. The moving process also really helped me with my contentment because I spent a whole lot of time cleaning. And also, just a side note here, I was talking about not buying any cleaning supplies until, I learned more about the uses of the things that I already have. I have been a freaking, like vinegar and baking soda cleaning queen. I have found so many uses for it. I feel like I never want to go back. It's the main way I clean my sink now. I've even found uses for it to clean my toilet. Like, it's just, I'm very pleased with that. And it feels like, yeah, you're gaining knowledge. Like, you're becoming a better, I don't want to say homemaker because I don't think that's what I am, but like home carer, taking better care of my home. While things have been kind of fresh here and I've just been kind of frazzled, taking time to clean my home and my things is just becoming a priority. And I guess also in terms of like, am I content with my life? I think one of the things that I've come to really notice this past month is that the things around us make a difference 100%, and being able to take care of them and also finding ways to be happy with what you own and looking externally as less as possible, or as least often as possible, because it's the external stuff that I think leads to a lot of discontent in my life. But what I have noticed this past month is that my focus so far has been on being happy with stuff, being happy with the things I own. So I'm looking less for new things. That has been the focus so far. And what has come up this month is discontent with myself and how that has shaped my overall happiness and contentment with my life. This has come on relatively new, like in the last maybe 10 days. But if you look at the history of like my channel and things that I've said, this is not a new belief, but I think it's it's coming up again in a way that is infusing with the contentment project to make me realize newer things or realize, I guess, its effects. And discontent with the self has affected discontentment with my life and viewing like my life as special or worth living. Yeah, I think special or even like content with where I am and like who I am. And it's discontent in this area that has reared its ugly head. And so, okay, so discontent with the self has come up and has really demonstrated how much it affects my overall contentment in life. And I think that's somewhat obvious. Like, of course it would affect how your overall contentment with your life, but I have never looked at it through that lens before. I don't necessarily mean to say that I am like a broken or inadequate person and I therefore need to fix myself. That's not what I'm saying. That kind of thinking has led me to buying things to fix myself with, which is not what I want. There's a lot of external factors that are coming into play, not family related. Things like losing my health insurance. That has affected things dramatically. So there's lots of play here. I know that this wording is somewhat vague, and I don't mean to say it like I've lost all my self-esteem, but there have just been some really trying moments that have made me realize the effects of the discontent with the self. I guess what it has made me realize in terms of the contentment projects is that all of the contentment projects I've had in mind have been about stuff and not been about the self. And I think I've taken a little bit of a break on work of the self, whether that's like reflecting or journaling or gratitude or like talking to people in your life or seeking professional help. That stuff has kind of taken a break, or I've taken a break from that kind of stuff in the past 2 months, just as a result of life, getting sick and moving. And now I'm like kind of finding my way back to a regular life, or like a regular moment. And now that I'm kind of finding my momentum again, it's like, you know what? Maybe these things took a back seat, but they're so important to how I feel about myself and to my overall contentment with my life and like my self-esteem. These have to become number one again. And so I guess I'm glad I've had this moment, maybe this moment of struggle. And so this moment of struggle that's happened in the past little bit, I guess is, I can say thank you to life for, for this happening, so I can readjust and I can refocus on these things. And when I introduced the project, I did say who I am and what I have is enough. I've been focusing on the what I have, and now it's time to focus on the who I am. So that's everything for me today. Another chatty video. I'd love to know what's going on with you in the comments down below. Have you been working on a no-buy or a contentment project? I would love to hear how that's going in the comments as well. Thank you so much for watching and hanging out with me today. I hope to see you again around here soon.